In this video, I'm going to show you how we soundproof this lounge, treated all those different noise paths, and then we're going to ask the homeowner what type of reduction in noise she's been getting, and then I'm going to tell you how much it cost. This is not cheap soundproofing because we're installing sound insulation to a lot of the different noise paths as noise enters this lounge. This is not for everyone. This is just how we do it after installing sound insulation for nearly 20 years. We know this method works. We know it reduces the noise, and we know that it allows homeowners to stay in the home they love. If you're a DIYer or builder or homeowner looking to reduce the noise in your own home, let me show you how. First of all, room preparation. We've removed the dot and dab plasterboard technique from the walls, not to save space, because you have to go back to brickwork, because the dot and dab plasterboard technique makes noise worse. That's why we've removed it. The hollow voids allow the sound to resonate between the plasterboard and the brickwork. The hollow voids also allow the sound to transmit and travel around the house, and this amplifies the noise. Overall, the noise feels louder. So you can't go over it, you can't blow anything into it, and you can't use a denser, more thicker, heavy duty sound block board using this technique, because that also makes the noise worse. Now look at the huge holes that removing the plasterboard has revealed. Not just the holes in the structure, but also the holes around the joists here. You've got these random bricks missing in the structure. If you just left these holes in the structure, the noise will still come through. So removing the plasterboard has also exposed this RSJ, this roll steel joist, which needs to be sound deadened and insulated, because the RSJ channels the noise across the whole of the property. The RSJ to the ceiling, which we sound deaden with a Texsound, and then we insulate the web of the steel with an RW3, and then we go over it with 2 layers of the 15mm sound block board to meet regs. To sound deaden and insulate your RSJ. We also uncovered a Thermalite block wall. Noise transmits so easily through these lightweight blocks, and they absolutely must be sound deadened. Not something put in front of it like a stud wall or something, not a clip and channel fixed directly to it, and definitely not those mass loaded vinyl 30mm panels going straight to these Thermalite blocks. We find that when you install those panels to these lightweight blocks, they just channel the noise straight up to the bedroom and channel the noise to the other parts of the house. Now we only have 27mm to play with here before whatever we decide to put on this wall affects the door lining, and we have to start playing around with the latch and planing the door. So I'll show you later how we treat this indirect noise path. Removing the plasterboard has revealed a huge hole going through to next door. Now you might remember this from part 1 of this video. That is the neighbour's bedroom floorboards, and that is the neighbour's ceiling of their lounge. Just think how much noise is coming through that hole. If you did not cut open the ceiling and you didn't cut open the floor, just think how much noise would still come through. So if you're in two minds whether to remove that plasterboard to your walls, or in two minds whether to cut open the ceiling or cut open the floor, hopefully this video just shows you how important that is. I can't believe how many soundproofing installations I still hear about and someone still hasn't cut open the floor, they haven't cut open the ceiling. The thing is you won't read about this sort of stuff on soundproofing material suppliers' websites, because they're not going to show you this stuff, because that makes out that soundproofing is actually quite difficult. Cutting open the ceiling, cutting open the floor is 80% of the work. But the truth is, if it was as simple as installing a 30mm panel system to the separating party wall, to the floor, to the ceiling in every room of your house with a separating party wall, don't you think that would be an easy problem to solve, and most DIYers and builders would be able to solve that problem? But the truth is, it is not as easy as that, and that's why you're watching this video, and that's why 2/3 of people in the UK are suffering from unwanted noise in their home. If it was as easy as installing something to the separating party wall in every room of your house, then these materials would be readily available at your Home Depot and B&Q, and noise would not be such a big issue. Since part 1 of this video, a few people have asked how you tuck the system up and how you tuck the system down when you have joists running parallel and those joists are very close to the separating party wall. How can you tuck the system up and tuck the system down, Jim, if the joist is so close to the separated party wall? It's actually in the way of where your wall system needs to be. And I'm going to share how we've done it for this particular project in this video in a bit. So the suspended floor is cleaned out, swept and hoovered. I like a clean suspended floor. Now, not all suspended floors are like this one, so don't go doing this to your suspended floor unless you've had expert advice or unless you've purchased a DIY soundproofing education course that goes through how to treat a suspended floor. It has lots of lessons on suspended floor, and it's been filmed by actual soundproofing installers that do soundproofing every day, and the course has been filmed in real life homes just like yours. I'm joking, but you might want to check out the noise-free DIY soundproofing course. The suspended floor here was dry and solid. It had plenty of concrete down there and it had plenty of airflow, so we were able to tuck the system all the way down. I'm not showing too much detail here because not everybody has a suspended floor void. I want to get back onto the main bits of all the different noise paths of this lounge. But basically, you install a membrane to reduce the moisture, which protects all the porous layers of the plasterboard, and yeah, we tuck the system down. You get the point. Tucking the system up and tucking the system down is so important that we would go to the extent of actually moving a joist out the way, moving a joist over in order to tuck the system up or tuck the system down. Expect to still hear muffled TV, muffled conversation, that muffled noise of neighbour noise still coming through after your soundproofing installation if you've not tucked the system up and you've not tucked the system down. So just a few ways on which you could move a joist. You could install the new joist into the supporting chimney stack and into the supporting wall separating the lounge and kitchen for this particular project. You could use joist hangers like we've done here, and it always appears to be a lot more work than it actually is. It'll probably be quicker than you think, but no doubt it does cause disruption. For this particular project, we used noggins and a joist trimmer, which took about 10 minutes or so, and that's because there's hardly any load bearing this close to the separating party wall, and you'll see in a bit later on in this video why there is no load bearing this close to the separating party wall. The direct noise path, the party wall. Now this is what everybody's trying to sell you, is a solution to that separating party wall, to put something on the wall to reduce the noise. Now I know, especially after doing my own home and thousands of other soundproofing installations, you can put the thickest, most all singing, dancing system on that separating party wall alone, and if you do that, the noise potentially would still come through. You're still going to hear that conversation noise coming through. It's still going to make you feel unsettled, uncomfortable, feeling like you want to move. You might get some reduction in noise. It might change the way that the sound enters the room, especially if you're stood in front of it, but the noise will still come through if you try and just do the separating party wall. What we find is if you sound deaden the wall first, it makes a huge difference to the noise reduction. We've been sound deadening the wall now for over a decade using this 20mm rubber, and there are other products you can sound deaden the wall first. We've been using it for over a decade now and getting amazing reductions in noise. We are now showing DIYers and builders exactly how to do that, and they too are getting that noise reduction on the noise-free DIY soundproofing course. So if you're interested in that, is to click the noise-free DIY soundproofing course. So the direct noise path, we then install the floating frame. So after we've sound deadened the wall, we install a frame, isolated, decoupled from the structure, and we like to use the 20mm pads. These are 20mm isolation pads, not 5mm foam tape. We use the 20mm isolation pads underneath industrial machinery to reduce that vibration getting into the structure on heavy duty machinery. So if it's good enough for industrial machinery, it's good enough for my floating frame. We then install RW3 rock wool to that floating frame. Every nook and cranny is insulated with the RW3 rock wool, not too tight. We then install resilient bars, and here we've used a maxi board. So yes, that's quite an expensive product, the maxi board. If you're here in the UK, Google maxi board. We then install 15mm soundblock board over the top of that maxi board. It's an interlocking system. If you're not in the UK or you want an alternative to maxi board, this video here should go through some alternatives of what you could install to those resilient bars or genie clips or whatever. Just check out that video there. The chimney stack is having a 50mm system applied to it. The mass of the chimney stack is already there. You think you've got this chimney stack and then your neighbours potentially have a chimney stack. That's a lot of mass for that sound sound to transmit through. But when you put your finger in your ear and you put your ear on that brickwork, on that reveal of the chimney stack, you're still hearing that music, TV, conversation come through. So why is that? It's because the noise is transmitting through the structure. Sound travels more easily through that brickwork, that structure, than me and you talking in the garden. So that chimney stack mass is already there. The chimney stack therefore needs two things. It needs to be sound deadened and it needs a resilient layer. So the first thing we do is we apply the 20mm rubber, which sound deadens that brickwork, and then we create the resilient layer with the two different types of adhesive when we install the different layers. So when we install the honeycomb soundboard structure and the 15mm soundblock board, it's put on with the two different types of adhesive, which creates that resilient layer. And we find that using this system makes it very, very difficult for the sound to be channeled into the upstairs bedroom or into this suspended floor void, compared to, say, if you used a stud wall insulated with rock wool and you didn't sound deaden the wall, or maybe you've decided to use one of these MLV panel systems that we also find channels the noise into the upstairs rooms. Now, what we've done on this project is we've installed a thinner soundproofing solution to the separating party wall in the bedroom, because this bedroom party wall is an indirect noise path of this lounge. And especially because it has dot and dab plasterboard on the wall, we know this dot and dab plasterboard wall absolutely channels the noise back into this lounge. There's no way we were going to leave that plasterboard on that bedroom party wall. So we had to remove that and then install a thinner system to the bedroom. Dot and dab plasterboard installed to a room above or below or adjacent to the one that you're trying to soundproof is a main cause. You can expect noise to still come through into that room if you haven't removed that dot and dab plasterboard in that adjacent room or room above. And that's because the dot and dab plasterboard is making the noise worse. It's amplifying the noise from the structure and then of course channeling it back into that lounge, for example, what we've got here. Imagine spending all that money to the lounge, treating or thinking that you're treating all of those indirect noise paths in that lounge, sat back when it's all painted and decorated, and still being able to hear the noise, not knowing that that is because you've got dot and dab plasterboard in the room above or the room adjacent to it. Now, this is one of the main reasons why soundproofing is very expensive when doing a new build property, is because when you have a new build property here in the UK, a lot of the walls are Thermalite blocks and dot and dab plasterboard, and they both channel the noise back into that room that you're trying to soundproof. It's therefore unfeasible to soundproof a lot of new builds because of this problem of dot and dab in the adjacent rooms or in the room opposite. There's so many rooms that you have to do because there's so many noise paths channeling the noise back into the room that you're trying to soundproof. Which leads us on to this flanking wall, this Thermalite block wall, this lightweight block wall, which we know noise is transmitting very easily through. So you can see that we don't have much space to play with, and we don't want to remove this lightweight Thermalite block wall completely and rebuild it like that we've done on other projects, on other videos. Hopefully that links work. We have about 27 to 28 mil to play with, and we know when the neighbours are talking and they're playing that TV or playing music, this lightweight block wall is like a ringing drum cymbal. It's just resonating, the sound just transmitting very easily through it. So we know that it has to be sound deadened to get a good reduction in noise on this project. So we're using a 10 mil version of the Corky 20 mil rubber that we use, which we know is fantastic for sound deadening. Fixing it in our usual way, and then we're installing a 15mm soundblock board over the top of that. Together with the 3mm plaster finish, that means there's only a tiny adjustment to the door, just a little bit of planing, a minor adjustment to the latch, and it all goes back on lovely. Another indirect noise path you may have remembered from part 1 of this video is the window wall. Remember the homeowner went on the phone, she could hear the neighbour noise when she put her finger in her ear, and she put the ear on the window wall, the exterior wall. She heard it close to the separating party wall, in the middle, and the other side of the window wall. So we knew that we absolutely needed to sound deaden this window wall. So here we've used the 50mm system. We had some uneven brickwork that we needed to get over, so we used the 10mm rubber, and then over the top with the 20mm rubber, then the honeycomb sandboard, followed by the 15mm soundblock board. Okay, fixtures and fittings, and then that all-important soundproofing result. We've refitted the fire and the wooden surround. We fitted a new windowsill, new skirting, isolated from the floor with a 4mm gap, of course. Electrical has all been extended with new sockets, and we've put the same materials that we put on the wall behind the socket. The coving has been removed because that hollow coving just channels the noise around the room. The floorboards have been isolated from all the walls that have been treated. We did all the painting and decorating, and we fitted new carpet as well. Just a note on carpet, if you are doing this much soundproofing in your lounge, you are fitting that highly reflective board to a lot of the different noise paths in your lounge, you're going to be left with a highly reflective room. I strongly recommend carpet because it covers one of the biggest areas where your ear is closest to. It offers a soft furnishing in the room, reduces the reflections in the room. It stops that sound energy bouncing around in the room. You'll get a noticeable difference by fitting carpet compared to fitting hardwood finished floors. If you fit a hardwood finished floor, when you've soundproofed this many noise paths in your lounge, you're going to have a very echoey room, and you have created a bit of an amplifier. So I would strongly recommend lots of soft furnishings, and especially carpet, even though carpet is not practical for a lot of people. Anyway, because the guys had so much fun with the homeowner doing this renovation, we built the homeowner some new shelving units and TV stand as part of the installation, all installed back in a way which doesn't compromise the new soundproofing. So how much did it cost, and did this expensive soundproofing really work? Well, I went back to see the homeowner after the project has all been finished, and she held the camera for me. We had so much fun, we were laughing too much, and I almost forgot to film. So here you go, I'll play the clip.
What to say? So all about that. So what about that all-important finished result? So what about that all-important soundproofing result? So far the homeowner's not heard anything from next door. She's even put her ear on the chimney stack and over here, and can't really hear anything from next door. We're gonna give it a bit more time, but so far, really great result.
The project took about 6 weeks from start to finish to do all of those different noise paths in the lounge and the room above, all the fixtures and fittings, including painting and decorating. So how much did it cost? It actually cost between £25,000 and £30,000 for the whole thing. Would a £5,000 soundproofing wall system installed to that lounge down below, going to the party wall, to the floorboards, to the ceiling, maybe only taking 2 days to do that installation? Would that have uncovered all of those holes in the structure? Would it have uncovered that RSJ, that Thermalite block wall, that window wall, or the dot and dab plasterboard in the room above? Would the homeowner have got the same result, and would the homeowner have been able to stay in the home she loves? I would love to know what you think in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next video.